All right, welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 62 here. Tyler McGurk again, another Pac-12 sweatshirt. This time, at least rocking his favorite team. Casey up top there, old school Dubs hat. We'll get into some old school Warriors here later on the podcast. Here, we each kind of came up with our own list. I think partially based on our little Thursday night conversation we had with the guys from Let's Be Real podcast and some of those guys. They brought up some Memphis players that I had no idea played for the Grizzlies. So it kind of got me thinking about some Warriors guys we could bring up. So we'll touch on that as well. We got Thanksgiving week ahead here. Always a big week here, especially working out of school. You get those days off on the Friday, so that's always nice. You get that Friday off, Tyler? You probably
I get Thursday, Friday, and Monday off.
Oh, that's very nice. And Monday.
It's a beautiful thing.
What a lucky guy.
I smell. If it doesn't rain, I'm thinking golf in the future.
That's a great idea.
So anyways, we'll get into some Thanksgiving questions involving football a little bit here, maybe some traditions. What was the one me and Casey we used to watch? The Alaska shootout that was on late at night once in a while.
Great Alaskan shootout.
The Great Alaskan Shootout. We'd be upstairs watching that game, and they'd be like, well, the one year they had Duke on there, Trajan Langdon from there, and actually Boozer's from there too, right? They might have done it with him as well. I think Boozer's from Alaska. Possibly.
Yeah, he is.
Okay. So anyways, some of those old traditions, even the NBA on TNT, they used to do the Thanksgiving games there. But anyways, we didn't talk much during the week. What are you guys up to? What you been watching? Good.
Not a whole lot. Just chilling. Been working a ton. My girlfriend celebrated her 28th birthday.
Or what?
So I've been her 28th birthday.
Okay.
What do you think I said?
I said 20th at first. I was like, wow, you're being very kind.
28th. I mean, it might be older, might be younger. I never give her age away for free. And yeah, so I had a late night. My voice is a little raspy, but I'm here, ready to go.
Voice for radio. Taste, what have you been watching this week?
True, man. Just been watching the Warriors be killing it. It's been fun to watch. Just going on a Steph Curry barrage this week. Got to enjoy a little college football, but the games were terrible, awful. So, yeah, just looking forward to this podcast, really. So,
yeah, yesterday morning I looked at the college football games. I kind of knew some of them ahead of time, but I looked at them and I was like, the only one that jumped out was Michigan State, Ohio State. And then by the time I really even was conscious yesterday and, ready to go, maybe check out some sports, I was like, what the heck, it's already over. So I didn't even bother watching a second of it. So, yeah, and then Oregon loses. So now Cincinnati's got to be happy about that. That's who I kind of wanted to get in the mix anyways, just to kind of break it up a little bit this year, just to have a little different team. It's always fun to root for the underdog because I don't really feel like I have a horse in the race at all when it comes to college football ever. So I figured just give me the underdog and I'll just take that team the most.
They're going to get screwed the final week.
I mean, doesn't it all depend on the Alabama, Georgia, SEC championship game in a way? Like,
no, because both those teams are going to get in automatically.
No. If Michigan beats Ohio State, they're going to get screwed because then Michigan will get in somehow, and then Ohio State will still be in. And then Cincinnati will be in.
And somehow Notre Dame's going to make a run at this thing also, just because it always works out that way.
Maybe Cincinnati has to start kind of scheduling a little tougher at the beginning. They just have to. I don't know. Maybe they have to.
I hope they get in, like you said, but.
Well, that's something to keep a look. It definitely helps that Oregon got crushed by Utah.
Yeah, they're out.
Their chances are now gone. You can't lose like that. That doesn't even matter if it's on the road. You can't get destroyed like that. And nobody in the Pac-12 is that good anyways, to where if they win again, it's going to be obviously, the other big news like around the country was that Kyle Rittenhouse trial and the verdict that came out with that, with him being not guilty in all fronts. When he shot three people, murdered two of them died. Did you guys want to maybe touch on that and your thoughts on that at all, Case? I know sometimes you have strong opinions on that stuff.
I mean, it's a touchy situation. I mean, there's always two sides to the story. I think we're going down a dangerous place. I mean, self-defense, man, it's can be looked at a lot of different ways, but the way it's explained, the law is pretty self-explanatory, but there's a lot of factors that went into that. And I think I'm just going a real slippery slope now. I mean, I think it's one thing to defend yourself, but I don't know, with all an automatic rifle driving from a different state to another state, the gun laws are different in different areas and different states. It's going to turn into a scary situation. We're already living in crazy times right now. I don't know. Be safe out there, because anytime you go to these protest rallies, either side that you're on, and especially if you're just out there for the better cause and trying to make the world a better place, there's people that evil never sleeps. So
That's for sure.
Like the Joker says, they just want to see the world burn.
What do you think, Tyler?
I just think that, I mean, the kid's a piece of shit, clearly. I think he's not, but I think they overcharged him, and it's hard to convict someone of murder one when you see someone getting chased and like getting hit with a skateboard and like it's just hard to convict someone in that instance. He obviously went there looking for trouble. You don't bring an AR-15 to a rally, and like it just, I don't know. It's just a touchy situation, like Casey said. He's obviously a bad person. He should be serving something. I think if we're gonna bring it to the race thing, if he was black, he wouldn't even have survived that night.
That's for sure.
Like, in my opinion, like, so it just.
Well, that's where
it sucks.
That's where the added layer comes in. I kind of feel like, the whole self-defense thing is like the Constitution. We've kind of talked about this before. It was written a long time ago. So sometimes those laws, in 1779, a gun was a little bit more necessary maybe for you to carry. Or you know what I mean? Some of those laws need to adapt over time. And in this situation, I just don't see how he's not. I don't see how he's not guilty on all fronts. And that just seems crazy to me. Like you took a gun, like Casey said, to another state. How are you not guilty of at least carrying a weapon? That's just insane to me. Like, what are we doing? Like, like maybe you said maybe he doesn't get away with murder one, but I mean, there's got to be some charges along the line there. I mean, come on, like, what are we doing here? Not guilty on all fronts. To me, that just seems a little
unanimously too.
Yeah, and a little beyond dangerous heading forward with certain things, especially with other rallies. Yeah, and I think I was listening to I give credit. We do this thing now. I listen a lot to that Let's Be Real podcast. Let's be honest, they're black, right? So there are more people that we listen to than me and you talking to white friends about this situation. So it was very interesting getting their perspective on things, because that's really, what I mean? So when you're talking like the race situation, they're obviously hurt by it, and it's not shocking to them. And that's the thing that struck me the most, is like, they're not even like, they're frustrated, but they're not shocked by it. So if that doesn't,
they expected it.
If that doesn't tell you immediately, especially as like three white guys here, that we just don't see it because we don't live around in that. We have a more Hispanic population, and that's not quite what it doesn't seem like that's what they're fighting for as much around here at that situation than this situation here with police.
If you look for it here, you can find it though.
Yeah, maybe I just haven't come across it there, but I thought they really did a good job explaining like how it wasn't, how it's just kind of like it's an unfair treatment. How if there's a guy with a hoodie on, I forgot the name they used the guy there, but like those situations. Yeah, and it just
something like that.
Yeah, so it just doesn't. So it just made it a little bit more clear to me that it's, even though this was white on white, it's not really what that's about for them. It's just more about like the unfair justice of what it would have been. And I think that's fair.
Exactly.
I think it's criticize that part of it, even though it can kind of, to some people, it's like, well, that's bringing race unnecessarily into it. But I mean, you got to be sensitive to the fact that, they have a lot of history of it being very unfair and very unfairly treated for like a lot of things that you're like, they got 10 years in prison for selling what? 2 bags of marijuana. You know what I mean? Like, it's so I think there's a lot of, I think it's very fair to criticize that part of it. And
And on,
I just don't know how the guy's not guilty on it.
and on top of all that, there's this man in jail who's African American who has his death sentence pending for something. There's DNA evidence like that's clearly proves him innocent of the crime, and they're having trouble getting a retrial and like all this stuff. And just the system is definitely fucked.
Well, that's
Lack of a better term.
There's a lot of people I know that are like laws. We got to follow the laws. We have the right to this law. And it's like, well,
sometimes the laws suck.
we're not very consistent with some of the laws. We reinterpret some of the laws towards people that are a little bit more privileged and stuff like that. So,
And when it comes down to like the gun laws, the right to bear arms, Second Amendment, you think about it, they would. I don't mean to chuckle at all, but in the 1700s, 1800s, they weren't carrying automatics. They were like loading up, one shot loaded up, powder loaded up again, one shot. Like, it's not like you could fire off hundreds of bullets.
You didn't even have cards. You'd have security cameras. You'd have police officers.
These rules,
like that.
You gotta adapt. You gotta adapt with the weapons that came across to when these laws were written. They weren't written when there were automatic rifles, when there were bombs. They were, as technology grows, the laws have to grow with them. And people's minds, just how we look at things. And, when it comes down to it's impossible if you look at something with, without realizing, people involved nowadays to not think about race, because it's human nature. I mean, it's just, you have to think about more than just yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of been set up that way for sure.
And when it comes to gun laws, like that guy said who we talked to on Thursday night, I'm forgetting his name. Like, oh, we need these guns to protect from a government who could come after us or whatever. Like the verbiage would be.
Yeah, I think his hashtag was Zach and Randolph or something. I think that was the guy. I think that was the hashtag.
They have the weapons where you could have all the automatic guns you want. The government's still going to win, even without firing a bullet. So,
yep.
And, yeah.
Doesn't make me want to go to Wisconsin anytime soon.
Yeah. Any open carry state, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. Well, we got a lot of work to do in those areas for sure.
Everywhere though, it's not even just those areas.
So yeah, not guilty on all fronts there. I say we'll get back to some sports here in a sec, but I thought that was a good discussion there for us to talk about something like that. So anyways, we'll be back with take a little short break here. We'll be back with the NBA here. I got some Warriors to talk. They're still on fire, and some teams that are not on fire. But which team would we rather be? So we'll take a little break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. NBA here, gentlemen. We talked about it last week after a 2-week stretch. Warriors had 4 games on the road. We always like to start with our home team, the Dubs here. We've all said we expected a 3-1 road trip. We were all expecting maybe a loss to Brooklyn. That ends up not being the case. They end up basically, in a lot of people's eyes, making a statement against Brooklyn. I'd like to say I'd like to get into that discussion here in a second, but what do you think of the trip overall? Curry, 9 threes in 2 straight games, basically a one-man wrecking crew against the Cavs, who were definitely diminished, but 8 points. That was the thing that was more impressive. They held the Cavs to 8 points in that game. They end up winning in Detroit with as my dad would say, the nut squad, the bench team, the bench team there. They ended up pulling it out. Jordan Poole returning to Michigan. They lose to the Hornets. That ends up being their one loss. But Casey, what do you think what do you think this trip meant overall? 3-1. What did they show you? The Brooklyn game, maybe in particular. You learn anything new from when we talked last week, or no?
Yeah, I actually did. I noticed that they got some grit to them, even they haven't been down really, in that fourth quarter, especially against Cleveland, where they haven't been going, and, it's tough playing, especially after a huge emotional game. I know they had a day in between, but, playing Brooklyn, that was the game where that you could tell from the jump that they were very hyped, super hyped for that game. And, I know the Brooklyn game meant a lot, like, overall for the media, everybody watching. And so to see them make a statement like that and not only beat them, but thoroughly kick their ass, that was shoot, the Nets didn't even play their starters with about 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, which I thought was really premature. But Steph Curry's out there making threes like on Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, and just seeing Steph on Blake Griffin. It's so funny to think that Blake was number 1 that draft and Steph was number 7. It's not even close now. It's almost comparable. And
skill over power, right?
Man, yeah, it's the way the league's changed. But they impressed me. And then seeing the young guys play in Detroit and just see Wiggins and Poole, they played really well. It was just fun to watch them. Actually, they're gelling. They got the best record in the NBA. They lost the
for me.
What's that?
Got to be Wiggins for you guys, right? He's got to be the surprise. Right? That trade right now with the Timberwolves looks just like they stealed it, right? No, maybe. It looks like
absolutely.
Looks like a steal. Russell maybe had a good game last night, but I don't know. Case, back to your point on the Warriors, though, they're getting a chance now to develop the second timeline, as my guy at Mateo likes to say. After Lake, they're able to use Kuminga. They got these other younger guys they're able to kind of bring in, and Wiggins is still pretty young too. He's like 26. So Tyler, I'd like to get your takes on the Warriors too, but maybe you could also add in your thoughts on the Nets. And we both had them as going to the finals there. And is it just me, or does Harden look just unmotivated, or is he hurt? What's up?
I don't know. Last night, 2 nights ago, he played without Durant, and he went back to his old ways and got 20 free throws.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he looked motivated in that game. The Warriors just are tough to play. The ball movement, the motion offense that they have. Teams that don't want to play defense in the regular season, so you're not going to get these hard hedges and these good defensive switches that are crisp in the regular season. So in the regular season, the Warriors are just run their offense. They're unstoppable with Curry out there and Draymond making the passes and Iggy making smart plays. And then you have the 3-point shooting of the bench like we bring up every week.
There's 2 plays that stood out to me in that Nets game. I rewatched it the second time, and Poole, there's a play where Peyton kind of slaps the ball ahead to Poole, and then Poole dunks it. And then on the way back, Poole, he fouls somebody unnecessarily, and Draymond just annihilates and just rips into him. You can hear him yelling on the court, and Poole kind of looks away, like probably how you guys used to do to me league, and say, "I know." He was you can hear him yell it as he's walking away, "All right, I got it," basically. And then literally 2 possessions later, Peyton fouls somebody again unnecessarily. He's like, "What are we doing?" You could hear Draymond just every possession mattered to him that game. I think I tweeted the intensity was off the hook from him that game.
That was hilarious. After Peyton did that, he's like, "Man, you all making it too fucking easy on him."
He went off. He did. You're right. That's exactly what he said. Exactly what he said. He dropped the big guy. And then they got the crowd started chanting MVP in Brooklyn. Everybody's like, well, it's because the Warriors crowd, plays, they travel well and stuff. Brooklyn alone, it could be anybody that was to me, that's an MVP. They would be chanting it. I don't think of that stadium as anything. I don't think of their fan base. I think of it how I think of the Jaguars fan base. It's just not anything special to me. Is that shocking?
They haven't had a team in years. It's a
think.
brand new team. So, how much love do they have for this team? Most of the Brooklyn borough is fans of the Knicks. So,
well, let's move on from the Warriors kind of here. Let's go to the second team in the West that's playing unreal, and that's the Suns. They're on an 11-game win streak. The Warriors play them twice next week, back-to-back games. Back-to-back, Tuesday and then a Friday. One at home, one at their stadium, I believe. Those should be 2 dandies of a game there, because the Warriors have been having some cupcakes along the way here. So that's kind of going to be a good test for them. The Suns, that's why when people say, "Oh, Curry's got a couple years left," I'm like, look at Paul. Paul's still playing at a high level. You know what I mean? So there's no reason Curry can't keep it up. And the Suns, they got that experience last year, that experience with young guys, and now you have Paul's a veteran. I really like Bridges. I don't know what the Sixers. I remember that in draft night when the Sixers did not draft him. I was like, he played at Villanova, you idiots! Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then they had that terrible pick 2 years ago. Anyways, the Suns are they're playing at a high level, and that, I mean, they're I wouldn't say they're exceeding my expectations, but like they're definitely playing better than I thought they were.
What do you mean they were playing better than you thought they were?
I thought they were going to play. I didn't think they were this good. I didn't think they were going to be able to play at this level. So
I still don't think they're this good.
Yeah.
They
what do you not
good,
trust
so
about them? I mean, it seems like their young guys are getting even better.
They're going to win game. I just don't think they're a playoff team. Like, they would have lost in the first round without injuries last year. I think they're like the Nuggets. They're good, but they're just not a finals team on a normal year.
I feel like Paul gives them a difference, don't you think, Kate?
You mean their playoff team? I think you mean not maybe finals.
I said finals team. I said they're playoff team.
Oh, okay.
If I meant to say they're a playoff team, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they're playing really well. I mean, they're on a 10-game win streak right now. Second best in the West at 12-3. ChrisPaul is just the maestro. You know, he just always makes things work.
What a word.
Well, why wouldn't they be a finals team? I mean, why they made it last year? I mean, they're even more confident this year. The West is worse, right? Other than the Warriors and Jazz.
I just think the Warriors and Jazz are better. I really do. I think the Suns are, I think, 1, 2, 3. I think those are the pecking order right now. The Warriors are hungry. The Jazz, you know, where they've been the last few years, I think they're, you know, starving to make the, you know, the conference finals at least. So, but yeah, no, the Suns are good. I mean, Ayton's getting better. Booker's getting better. They're all young. They're kind of like, all their really good players are really young. They're in their mid to young 20s right now. So I think it's just maybe going to take them a couple more years to get to that point.
Well, we'll be very interested to see how the Warriors play against them next week. It'll be very interesting just to see how
It'll be a lot of fun.
I mean, there will be no Wiseman against Ayton matchups. That'll be a little different. But there's something about Looney that's just nice and steady. He's just I'd love to play with him in like a basketball game. You know, he's always looking for you. He's never doing anything outside he can't do. You know what I mean? He's like the perfect guy to play with for like Curry. It's unbelievable how perfect.
7 years in the league and he's only 25. It feels like he's 30.
Yeah.
He's not your typical like one and done player. Like most one and done players are like are gunners who can score, but he doesn't do that at all. He just does all the small things.
Yeah, and it probably helped. He's been with the Warriors all these years now. All those championships. I mean, he's been on 5 championship runs now. So
in 7 years,
we got like a lot of good experience there. All right, so we talked about the Suns, got the Warriors in the Western Conference there. That kind of makes us, you know, you were talking about Booker, Casey, a little bit, and we talked about Thursday night on our thing. Tyler brought up the question, would you rather have Levine or Booker? And I was looking at the stats here as I kind of wanted to get in the conversation about some of the stats leaders early on. Levine and DeRozan are 4-5, I believe, in scoring overall. And so Tyler posed the question, would you rather have Levine or Booker? I thought that was a very good question. Who would you rather have?
I'd rather have Booker. I mean, I think Levine.
I think all of them said Levine, just so you know.
That's cool. I mean,
yeah,
except for me.
I just think Booker is really young, man. He's special. He's got all the talent in the world. He's only going to get better. I think Levine's coming into his own right now. I mean, he's playing with DeMar. You can see what he's doing now with really good players. He played with okay players last year, but now he's taking a whole nother step. And so I think that makes a world of difference. So I believe in Booker. I think he's just got that. I mean, he scored 70 in a game. He just seems like an all-world.
Forgot
talent.
about that. Earl, feed Booker. Earl, how many shots? I should look up how many shots. Look at that game.
I mean, he got it in a lot.
They did lose that game.
Levine is seeming to be a little bit of a better shooter than I thought. I thought Booker, like a year ago, I'd say Booker's the better shooter. Levine's actually kind of surprising me in that category with him. The other thing, the stats with some other stats that stood out to me with the points per game is as Doncic isn't in the top 10. If you would have told me this early on, he wouldn't be in the top 10 of scoring, that would be surprising. I know he's missed a few games here, and I know he's missed like 3 games more than the regulars here, but all the hype he got in the season, either he's going to be making a big second half push towards that, or maybe we just kind of jumped the gun on maybe a junior slump a little bit here. He's still averaging 24, but he's not going to be leading the league in scoring. That was the one that kind of stood out to me the most, looking at that list there. And then Anthony Edwards up to 22 points a game. He was the other one. He's in the top 20. And then, of course, the guy that's surprised, it got to be the biggest surprise in the NBA, is Miles Bridges. He's averaging 22 points a game from Charlotte. That guy, I didn't think he was going to have the game. He went at Michigan State. He kind of seemed more of a post player to me. And then in the NBA, it's like, what the heck? Now he's like making nice pump fakes at the 3-point line. Like, looks like a true wing. He's made a good transformation there. Charlotte better hope and pray they hold on to something like that, because that's like what they've been trying to do for 20 years with these Sean May picks. They finally had somebody. These veteran
North Carolina,
players,
Duke every
these
year.
like Carolina, like high program guys. They take the guy out of Michigan State. He does good, and they finally their own guy. They let him go. They got to keep letting him and Ball play together. They got to make that work. Anyway, those were a few stats that stood at me in the points there. The 3 points made, I wanted to let you guys know Curry's like 35 ahead of the next highest guy. Incredible.
I'm surprised it's that close.
Do you know who the top 3 and made threes are this year? Besides,
I know Buddy's up there.
Number 3, big surprise, Grayson Allen.
Grayson is there. Yes, Grayson is there. He's in the corners. I like when they had somebody on Twitter this week. They had pictures.
I think it was Savage.
Yeah, they had pictures of where people score on the court, and John Morant was in the center, and they had like Westbrook, and I think like I don't think it was Beal, but somebody else on the DeRozan on the elbow, and a couple other guys, Curry at the top, and then the two
Curry was everywhere on the top of the 3.
And then the 2 guys at the corner though were 2 white guys.
Can you name the 2 white guys?
The 2 white. I think it was like Joe Harris. That's where they have the highest percentage of scoring in the NBA. That white guy in the corner there, I think. I just thought that was hilarious to me. That Matt pointed that out to me. I was like, oh, that's pretty good stuff right there. So anyways, I thought those were, and then the assist guy, I mean, who's going to be the assist leader? It's going to be ChrisPaul every year. He's going to be the main guy.
He didn't even win it last year.
Well, he's always going to be right there. Yeah. You're right. He did. What did Westbrook end up winning it last year?
Yep.
Let's see where he's at this year. He's at 8 points.
He's 4th.
Number 4th there. Steals. ChrisPaul again. He's not John Stockton, but he's kind of like our era of John Stockton. I feel like like always consistent every year.
He's pretty similar to John Stockton. Scores about 14 to 15, gets 10 assists.
He's just not going to have the stats because of his injuries over his career.
Yeah.
John never had. I'll call him John. John never had those injuries.
Him and John are probably the best pick and roll players ever to play the game.
And again, that's why I just feel like they're the biggest threat to the Warriors if we had to pick a team over the Jazz. I don't see the Jazz as the bigger threat. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Rudy's now developing.
I just don't see anywhere where the Suns are better than the Warriors. Like anything.
I just feel like Paul's kind of a feisty little guy there. I don't see the Jazz. I just think they're the bigger threat than the Jazz. I don't see the Jazz as the bigger threat.
The Lakers are the biggest threat.
Fair enough. That's fair. Or if the Clippers get Bradley Beal. I'm just kidding. And then the guy that's in a trade rumor for the Warriors, Miles Turner, leads the league in blocks. 3. Would you trade Wiggins for Sabonis?
No. We need a 3.
Tebow right now. Well, you have Kuminga.
I don't trust Kuminga.
He's 19 years old. It's way too young to put him in the playoffs right now.
All right, there's 5 teams in the NBA that are pathetic, and I'm at to 5 that I think that I would beg for you guys not to have. So I'm going to give you 5 teams. And what situation would you want to have? Which one would you take? You're like, I'm going to take that team. All right. So you got the Rockets to choose from, who are 1-15 on the year. All right. They got, all cleared out space there. They got a good rookie there, Green. You got the Pelicans 3-15 with Zion's 300.
And he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, I'm not including the Spurs because there's still
What? How are you not including the Spurs?
I'm not including the Thunder either because they have all those picks. So you're probably choosing them. The other team that to me is
No one's choosing the Spurs. The Spurs are the worst of these options.
the other team is the Kings in this mix, and then I go to the East. You have the Magic or the Pistons. So which team would you want to be in that situation?
On TV.
Want to be?
Not leaving a whole lot of optimism over here, but
Nope.
I guess I would have to go with probably the Detroit Pistons.
Cunningham.
Cunningham, and that's at least the building block. I know the Rockets have Jalen Green, but I just don't trust their organization. What they're doing is an absolute joke. They're paying John Wall $40 million not to play, and then another 42 next year probably not to play, which is just insane. John
That's
Wall.
the Rockets.
Oh, that's the Rockets.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So
Tyler,
I don't know.
Tyler, who would you take?
I'm taking the Kings because I get Fox and Halliburton, and that's the two best players of the.
You also get the
guys are
17-year drought.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that if I'm taking over, but I don't trust the Kings. I don't trust all these are bad run franchises.
I don't want the Pelicans.
No, the Pelicans are the worst.
Even
The
if
Spurs are the worst.
I don't want the Pelicans. No. I mean, at least with the reason I didn't put the Thunder in there is because you're like, all of us would take 21 round first pick. Yeah, we would take that if you're.
Yeah.
I didn't include them in it. So, anyways, I thought that was interesting. The Rockets, man, they're bad this year. Their roster is not good.
Do you think they can beat? Do you think they can beat the Charlotte Bobcats record for worst ever? I mean, because the Bobcats went.
I thought it was the Sixers.
Well, the Bobcats went 7-59 in that shortened season. So percentage-wise, but the Sixers went 9-73. So
I don't think I'm going to say the Rockets get 10 to 13.
10.
I'm going to say they get.
I think they win 5.
No, they're going to win 4. 4 more wins.
I'm going 5.
Is that even one a month? Is that even one?
But it's not one a month.
That is horrible. 5 wins. No. They'll pick.
Could you imagine simulating an NBA 2K season and you get 5 wins? You're like, my God, you can't even try to do this.
There's going to be a team that sits their best players against him and they'll sneak out a win or something. 5. that's a horrible thing. Come on, you can't think that. You should put that on Vegas. You win a lot of money there. Did you guys see that Westbrook Celtics thing when he was being interviewed Schroeder on TV? Yeah. I guess the TV of the Celtics on CSN, whatever, Boston had it say like they're paying this guy $44 million or what was it, Tyler? You look like you kind of
they're paying Westbrook $44 million
for this or something like that. I think it's even had for this at the end. I thought that was a little cheap shot there from Boston, but I kind of like the rivalry thing there. People probably will get too offended by it, but I thought it was kind of. I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny that they put it out there because Westbrook he kind of gets sensitive to things like that. And I can see him not getting under his skin for sure.
I just don't think it's not like the Lakers gave him that deal. It's a little different when you have to give someone a deal as opposed.
Well, isn't it because they could have had Schroeder, right? Basically, isn't that what the saying is? Isn't that why they probably put that?
Yeah, but I don't know if they could have done it because it would have been a re-signing and not a trade. Like where you trading? I don't know. That's all NBA's weird salary cap wise. But yeah, it's still you're still paying the guy $44 million.
Kind of funny too that they used to play on the same team on OKC, and then now they're going against each other. One guy's got hella money, and the other guy got screwed out of one, and one guy's they're just matching up against each other. It's kind of cool to see, actually.
Well, that's all I got in the NBA this week. Wizards still close to the top, but not the top. The Nets are in first place, even though everybody's freaking out. So I thought that was kind of the other. Something does seem a little off with Harden. The Irving situation's got to be. It changes if they get him back. They're just such a different team, so it's really hard to really go in on the Nets. And to me, that game was kind of weird too. So I thought the Warriors played well, but that game I'm not going to hold light to this. They got their number or something like that. That's not what that game felt like to me. It did show me that the Warriors are taking the regular season darn seriously though. So that was my big takeaway from the week locally here. I did see a couple scores that kind of came across. I saw last night the Timberwolves just manhandled the Grizzlies. That one kind of shocked me a little bit over there. And then the Kings Will Walton survive? Can he survive Christmas Day? He always finds a way. He always finds a way, Tyler, to survive.
Like a cockroach.
You kind of always have liked him a little bit, and then you've kind of went back and forth on him a little bit there. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he did good for the Warriors as an assistant and as a intern head coach. But yeah, he had Warriors talent. He didn't have Kings talent.
Are you watching the Arizona Michigan game? Speaking of
It
basketball,
depends how the football game's going. I'll be in and out.
and the Warriors are playing the Raptors tonight too. There's a lot going on. I don't know. All right. Well, why don't we take a break there at the NBA's? I don't know why the NBA is just, for me right now, it's the sport that I just enjoy watching even on a daily basis, just checking in the scores on and seeing how they're doing.
When I made that poll, who'd you vote for? The NBA or NFL being the more intriguing?
For me, it's the NBA.
I agree.
The NFL they're intriguing in like some ways that I'm not always intrigued with. Like more like
That doesn't make sense.
Like off the field, like nonsense, like lawyer type stuff sometimes.
Okay.
Like on the field, like that kind of thing. So NBA, I feel like it's a little bit. I like the player driven. I like the stats. Looking at that, I like looking at how teams run their offenses and stuff like that. And that stuff always intrigues me a little bit more.
The coaching aspect.
And sometimes the football games go on forever too. At least basketball, right? Case 2.5 hours. I know I know what I'm getting usually most of the time. All right, we're gonna be back with the NFL here. I'm not sure if Casey will be here. He's got open gym. He might have to run to. He doesn't get those guns, lady, but by accident. He puts in the work. He puts in the work. Yeah. So let's take a break right there, and we'll be back with the NFL. All right, we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 62. Just wrapped up our NBA segment there. Again, that's what I like about our podcast. We can do multiple sports, Tyler. We can go subject to subject, maybe several different than others. I know lately your NFL takes have been frustrating a few people that I know. I'm not going to call them out on names, but you've been they're not the most not the best takes I've been hearing, and I also think people don't agree with mine. But I have a couple questions for us here, a couple games, and then maybe you got some other NFL things you want to bring up as well. Before I let you get into a question here or anything, the first thing I want to get into is Newton. He's to me the big story. He plays 2 snaps. He gets 2 touchdowns. He's starting this week for the Panthers. I was thinking back. There's never been a quarterback that has come back to his same team to restart his career. He might have gone to another team. I tried to look one up. I didn't see one. He came back to his same team. That was the one that I've seen where Warner went back to the Cardinals and he got rejuvenated, that type of thing. But to the same, very interesting. You see that in other sports like baseball or NBA, the players come back and maybe had a little extra run there. So it'd be interesting. And you can tell he's motivated. Do you think it matters though? He was pretty bad last year on the Patriots.
I think he's going to be all right. I think the Patriots got a bad rap. He was good until he got COVID. And then once he came back, he missed a couple of weeks because he couldn't be with the team. And then he came back and he was god-awful. He threw the ball in the dirt. He couldn't hit a slant route. But before that, he was fine. They played the Seahawks in a great game with the Patriots, and Cam tore it up.
Yeah, that was
so
early
I think
on.
he'll be okay. And I think they should play to his strengths with Christian McCaffrey. They'll probably throw the ball 20 times a game and just –
can he throw though?
defense.
I mean, like that's the thing with him. Like we saw him for 2 plays. Can he throw enough to where that was the issue last year?
I think he can throw off a play action and like take your shots. I don't think you can have him stand there and pick you apart for 4 quarters.
Right now they're the 7 seed, right? I know your Niners are right there, kind of in the mix along with some other teams. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think does Newton get him in the playoffs, I guess? Does he get him in?
No, I don't think so.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think they'll get in. I don't think the Panthers are I mean, maybe. I don't think he's good enough to get them in, I guess, bottom line. Because he can't do the stand back and pick.
So you would pick them not. You don't think they end up in the playoffs?
No, I do not. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before.
And that's not a deep league there, so we'll see what happens there at that. I think it's for the Panthers. There's no risk to me. To me, it's,
I like the
all benefit for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking. They got the Saints. The Saints, the Vikings, the Niners. That's basically who they're fighting for. I mean, the Eagles, can they still get in? I guess the Falcons. I just don't see it. What So are you willing, the second question I have for you is, are you willing to admit that that you might be a little bit wrong on the Patriots?
I mean, they're 6-4 or 7-4, so I'm wrong. I thought they'd win 5 games.
What do you think what has surprised you the most? Bill's able to play defense, like the defense?
Yeah, the defense and how well they've played defense with no Gilmore.
Tom's rookie year defense, doesn't it? Like
yeah, it feels exactly like that. They don't have like a superstar running back, but they have a guy who can get 4 yards basically every carry. And then Mac Jones is good enough to beat you if you don't have to turn the ball over as your main objective.
I mean,
I don't think he's special. That's the thing about it. Maybe he ends up being like
he's smart though. Obviously, he's making the right throws most of the time.
Yeah, he's smart. He's good. He's going to be a starting quarterback for years.
The question to me is, can they beat out the Bills for the division? To me, that's like the Bills play the Colts, so that would be the shocker of the year if they beat if they end up beating the Bills out for the division.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots lost 3 games in a row. I don't think they're like great.
Their defense.
You think they're great?
I feel like they'll lose 3 in a row.
What?
I feel like their defense is playing at too high of a level to lose 3 in a row. They do have a. I
don't even know who they're playing. So the schedule matters.
Bills at Colts. Bills.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they lost all 3 of those games.
That's 4 right there. But yeah, that'd be shot. Titans at Bills, Colts, and then the Bills again. So, I mean, you're right. That's a tough schedule. We'll see how the defense plays there. Belichick's the one that's been kind of surprising to me. All right, you got any NFL thing you got anything to ask me or anything?
I just want to. Your Raiders, it has to be frustrating.
It's predictable. Casey's not here to defend his boy Derek Carr. Of course, yeah, he got off early, but he was bad. Right, he's bad again. Like, I don't know. They're just not. Everybody. Well, they don't have Ruggs anymore. They don't have the deep threat. It's like, well, I don't know. Good quarterbacks figured it out to me. Is that too harsh of a statement?
I don't think so. What was Deshaun Jackson doing?
I don't know what that was. That was like one of the weirdest plays in the world. It's like he got disoriented for a second. He thought the sideline was the end zone or something. Yeah. He started running towards the sideline, and then he fumbles the ball out of all. Yeah, that was they played the Bengals today.
It looked like someone played Madden for the first time and didn't know the buttons.
Huh? Oh, yeah, he didn't.
It looked like someone didn't know the buttons.
He hit circle too many times, too many spin moves.
And then hit the lateral button.
It's a big game though for the Raiders today. I mean, they beat the Bengals today. They're right back in the mix again. But the AFC is pretty tough. So
yeah,
and they got the Chargers playing the Steelers. That's a big game tonight.
The Chargers have been frustrated. They don't throw the ball to Mike Williams
anymore. Yeah, your Super Bowl pick's is kind of under.
No, it's not looking good at all.
Not looking good right now.
Our Super Bowl picks play each other today.
They do. Steelers versus the Chargers. I'm going obviously with the Steelers. I think it's a big win. I still think they can make the Super Bowl. I mean, I still think they have.
It's a wild take.
Well, I mean, the Titans are 1, Bills 2. I mean, the Ravens, Chiefs. I guess they're your favorite. The Patriots. Can the Steelers beat the Patriots? I think they could beat any of those teams. So I just feel like
they could, but they wouldn't be favorites in any of those games.
I like Johnson, the guy that fumbled last week. So I like him. We'll see. The Raiders
depend on
long ways.
Ben Roethlisberger, though. You trust Ben?
I do trust Ben. What do you think of the Chiefs Cowboys today? Who you got? What's your hunch with that one?
I always take the Chiefs.
Just because Mahomes?
It's hard not. I mean,
they look good. The Cowboys look
good.
And
Andy Reid. The Cowboys have played great.
To me, this game will tell me a lot with the Chiefs.
Yeah. It'll tell me a lot about both teams.
Yeah. To me, if the Chiefs put another foot, put their foot down again, it's like, all right, now they're really back. So we'll see there. The other, like I said, we said the other game was the Steelers Chargers. To me, the rest of the games are a little weak in the NFL again. But on Thanksgiving, if we don't do the podcast before, the Raiders do play on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. So at least I'll watch. That's not a very. Hopefully they stay in there. And of course, the Bears play the Lions, which is we'll just check the score type of game usually.
You think the Niners can make the playoffs?
I think the Niners cannot make. No, I think. What do you think of today's game? I was going to ask you about that actually, because obviously, if you lose a game like this, it takes away what you did last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there any way they get upset today by the Jaguars? They come out.
They lost to the Cardinals with Colt McCoy and Doug Hopkins. Of course, they could lose.
You would think they'd be on the road. You just seem like it's a little bit more of a business trip sometimes, and they end up to be a little bit.
I feel like the way they played last week is how I expected them to play all year. They looked like one of the best teams in the NFL the way they played last week. They were running the ball. They handed it off 40 times. That's what I want them to do.
I picked the Vikings and the Niners to make the playoffs. So yes, I will say the Niners make the playoffs. I'm gonna say the Vikings beat out the Saints, and I'm gonna say they beat out the Saints and the Panthers, the Vikings and the Niners. I guess so. I'll stick with my guns. If I did that, every team I would have makes the playoffs, except for I don't think I had the Cardinals in there. So that might be the one team.
The Cardinals are going to make it.
You have the Giants winning division, though. I like that was my favorite pick that you had out of all the years. I
wasn't expecting the Cowboys to be this good.
I had them as the coach of the year. That was my pick.
Who? Joe Judge?
No,
Who?
McCarthy, the Cowboys. So Thanksgiving, what's the favorite game memory of Thanksgiving Day? Is there a game that stands out to you or play? I'll let
Leon Lett.
Leon Lett, the snow one.
Yeah,
I think the coin toss is always a good one.
That's a great one.
That's always a good one there.
I called heads.
I always feel like Randy Moss's performance on Thanksgiving was one I remember because I watched it. John Madden.
Is that against the Cowboys?
Yep. The turducken.
3 touchdowns, 180 yards.
Unreal.
3 catches.
Unreal. The Lions' nasty uniforms. Those ones that they wear on Thanksgiving. I don't like
gray helmet or silver helmet.
To me, they're horrible. The Superdome, I remember that. Just those things in the morning, you kind of remember seeing. They always make a big deal of the halftime performance a little bit too in these games. I always feel like
really
the Cowboys ones. Oh yeah. They always have.
I didn't even know they had halftime performance.
Oh yeah. That would be like the thing. My girl cousins would be only looking forward to the halftime shows of whoever was performing.
Probably a lot of country music when the Cowboys.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of country music there. I think Reba maybe even there.
From the Little Rascals.
Orbit one time there. Yes, from and from the show Reba. Anyways, there were some things with Thanksgiving Day there. My parlay.
Hold on. What's the worst matchup on Thanksgiving that you get pretty consistently? To me, it's the Lions Bears.
The Lions Bears, without a doubt, is the worst. Even to me, I don't even like Lions Packers. I don't even like Lions Vikings. Anything Lions, anything
AFC North.
NFC North. I don't when they play an AFC team, it's usually better.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, even then, I saw a couple times they've had the Texans play them. I'm like, no wonder they don't get good rate. Texans, Lions, what are we thinking? That's not smart.
I think they can put anything on TV.
Yes, so. Hey, so here's my parlay of the day here. I got, like I said, I go 3 underdogs. So that's always what I try to do is pick 3 underdogs. I got the Bears beating the Ravens. I got the Jets beating the Dolphins. And I got the Saints beating the Eagles. Saints are the only road team in that out of that 3. So that will be that is the parlay pick of the day for whatever that's worth. From my standpoint. Tyler, that's all I got this week from the podcast, my friend. I think this Thursday night thing, I'm really enjoying doing that. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it this week, obviously Thanksgiving, but it's been fun trying to be, you joined a little bit later, but it was still good to have you on there. And yeah,
it was fun. Real quick, we prepared for a segment we couldn't get to, but name your most random warrior.
Oh yeah.
Just one.
Yeah. Let's get into let's actually mention that real quick. Yeah. Because we did want to do a little random warrior thing. For my random warriors, I had like 12 of them, but the one that made the top of the list was a Donald Foyle and Danny Fortson. They made the top of the list. I just feel like nobody would know those. And then you have a few like really random ones like Colby Carl. I remember he was on there.
Colby Carl.
Larry Hughes, Roni Turioff, Biedrins, Derek Fisher had a short time. Eduardo Naraha, Chris Porter from Auburn University. Who do you got?
I got Zarko Tabarkaba,
Oh, Zarko, yes.
the Vladimir Radmanovich.
Vladimir.
And then my best player I had on the list was Jamal Crawford with his short stint on the Warriors.
Very short. Speedy
He
Claxton.
put up a 50 burger though.
Yeah.
Montego Cummings, John Starks.
Know who else put up a 50 burger in a but it wasn't in the Warriors uniform when he did it, but he did play for the Warriors. Tony Delk out of Kentucky
Yes,
University.
he did.
Double
zeros.
Yeah, there was Brian Cardinal, I always say, who made that list.
Your favorite Warrior of all time, Troy Murphy.
Big Troy, the lefty, Chris Mullen comparisons. See if that's not race. Isn't that race right there? Why? Chris Mullen's a white lefty. Troy Murphy's a white lefty. Hey, Troy Murphy, I think he's going to be like Chris Mullen. I remember that. I was like,
Todd Fuller, Ike Diagu.
Oh, gosh. Ike Diagu. Oh, man. Epi
Scotty Burrell.
Felton Spencer. I had him on there.
Earl Boykins.
Earl was on the list. Of course, we have Doniel Marshall. He's always there. Consistent Warriors person.
Chris Mills.
There were some bad. Well, there were some ones that were there for I can tell just for probably 4 weeks on the team, but I remember them on the team. The Ronnie Turioff era is a bad era as well. That was one that to me, that was a tough one.
This wasn't good.
Montego Cummings.
The worst part is we had people in this area saying Ronnie Turioff was good.
They're desperate, man. We were desperate. There's people there. And we'll have to spend a little bit more time on an actual segment doing that, breaking down these players, a little draft. We'll have to do a draft of city, take a team, ask cities to do their top 10 teams. So anybody
Coles,
even the guys from Memphis, if they listen to this, you got guys from the Grizzlies that you want to throw out, or from another fan base, from the Spurs or anything out there, some random players. I love to hear it. Those are the things I like about sports, because it's my kids will never know about any of these players.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of funny to just kind of look back at some of the good old times, the Oscar Torres era of the Warriors, all those times.
Oscar Torres. Hey, one quick baseball question. Is Bryce Harper overrated or underrated?
He's inconsistent. I would say he's
two MVP awards.
I'd say he's a little overrated. But I'd say when he's good, he's really good, but he just has really bad years, it seems like, too. And so it makes him, you know what I mean? He's not a consistent.
Yeah, it's weird how he has just bad years.
Very consistent.
It's not bad month, but bad years.
Yeah, he gets on base a lot. He walks a ton. So he's always on base. But there's certain years, this year he hit for a better average. Not great, but a lot better average. And he hit a ton of bombs. Sometimes he doesn't always do that. He strikes out a little bit more. And when he was struggling with the Nationals, to me, that was the big difference. He was always walking. He always got his 100 walks, but so I don't know. I just feel like he's inconsistent. We'll see if this year he can put it together again. Yeah, we'll see if baseball even has a season.
Yeah, for real.
He's Marcus Semien, third place MVP. Nice job not re-signing him, by the way. Except we did have a little positivity out of Libby Schaff yesterday, the mayor of Oakland. So with the A's referring to it. So all right. Anyways, let's get out of here. Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 62. Hope you guid it.
Like and subscribe.
Right, man. So we down that we lost 2 subscribers. We're down to 61. We got.
What?
I know.
What did we say?
I should just get back at it. Get back. Casey, what are you doing? You can't be doing that. You got to stay consistent. You got to stay friends with these people. I just teasing. No, but anyways, yeah, like and subscribe. We're only as PHX said. I love that. He's like, yeah, I'm 960 away from 1,000. So yeah, we're 939 away from 1,000 subscribers. So help us out.
What happened?
I don't know. Maybe some people they just they say they'll subscribe, they'll help you out, and then they don't subscribe. That's what happens with this thing. So you got to build a loyal fan base, Tyler. That's the key to these podcasts. You got to build that loyal fan base. Ryan McGurk, I did watch the Sharks last night just for you. So that's the loyal fan base, and they lost 4-0. So there was nothing on. So I did watch the Sharks get lambasted last night by the grade 8 Ovechkin. So our one Sharks fan out there, that was for you.
And your dad.
And my dad. That's right. I can't forget my dad. Did you say today was your dad's birthday, by the way?
And yesterday. My girlfriend and him share the same birthday, but.
Oh, that's cool. Who got the better present?
My girlfriend, definitely.
Good. You don't want to say your dad.
I don't have to sleep with my dad.
Imagine if like your dad, you get your dad like $300 gift, you get your girlfriend $100. She doesn't know about it right at the time, and then she finds the receipt. You think would she be offended? You think? I think Hana would be a little offended if that happened on my life.
I don't think I'd have a girlfriend.
No, I don't think my wife would divorce me because of it. My God, well, you guys have you gotta have a stronger love than that, Tyler.
I'm not married.
All right. Well, still, you've been together with it, like you've been married.
Sure.
All right. We'll see. I don't think we're gonna probably do a Monday night one this week. Probably not. It sounds like, but we'll see. I like to start doing the NBA ones when they start doing like the Saturday night ones. Just feels like me and you are watching that a little bit more. I'm gonna definitely be checking out your Arizona Michigan game in the midst tonight.
The United Nations versus Michigan. Let's go.
I want to check out Scotty Barnes on the Raptors. He's the guy I also kind of want to check out. I thought he was going to not be very good, but he's the guy I hear the most about, other than Kuminga too, because he's obviously in the Bay Area here. All right, be sure to check out some other podcasts. Like I said, the Let's Be Real podcast, Let's Tighten Up podcast. P Shark does a good job with those. I don't know sports podcast. Tyler, I did listen to the one with Damian Adams. I think his name is
The Real Deal.
The Real Deal podcast. That was good. I also like this House of Hoops podcast. These guys, they just relax and talk sports and drink beer. And I don't know, their atmosphere to me is just really chill. So I think I want to get them on one of these times to talk hoops, because hey, they are
cool.
So anyways, check out some of those podcasts. We'll hopefully maybe do that thing later this week as well with the guys from Let's Be Real podcast. So all right, have a good one, T. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you soon, bud.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Later.